Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sergeant Alex here, and I will explain the whole reason why there wasn't a video last week in a few minutes. I just want to kind of get this video started since this was technically last week's video, which I am recording a week after we're supposed to post. Yeah. So, I have come up with my own little version of the Super Smelter. I kind of nice and efficient for fuel and stuff, and it's nothing special, but just want to kind of bring it through you, show you the little details and stuff, breaking down super smelters and all that fun stuff. So my little design here, you have a chest right up here, and you can put whatever you want to smelt in there. You do have to wait for the hopper minecart on the other side of this chest to fill up. That's why you only see me placing one stack. I can kind of get two in there really quick if I'm not when I'm doing my console, but on PC it's just easier to wait until it's full, and it eventually gets there. I think it's about 5 or 6 stacks. So as you can see there, minecart's full. I can fill with the rest of the smeltables. And before I even start the system, let's just grab some quick items and show you the other end. And down here, handy dandy little crafting bench. Not really mandatory, but makes it nice and easier for this chest, which is what you put your fuel in. So fuel's in there. And then we come down here and flick this lever, and the system turns on, and everything will start to light up. And now I'm just going to go pop over to the creative world and get into building it. Okay, and here we are in the creative world there. You can kind of see the few times I've actually built this and recording errors and stuff. So we're going to get onto the basic part, which is the collection system along with setting up the smelters for everything else. So we're just going to need a chest, hopper, and a furnace. And I find that 16 furnaces tend to work best, but you can go smaller if you want. I recommend somewhere between 6 and 16, just because of fuel efficiency and stuff. That's why I'm recommending 16. And wherever you want your collection to start is going to be 2 blocks long, and then you're going to have hoppers facing into that, so you're going to have to crouch click. And as I set this up, I just want to kind of explain why the whole recording thing got messed up last week. And essentially, work got really busy, and then my recording equipment kind of bugged out on me. Should be 10 furnaces. I'm building 16 furnaces, by the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And so work got really busy since I work at a sports bar, and there was a few major games coming up, and things just got busy for me. So sadly, as I mentioned before, my recording schedule can get busy, so let me rephrase that. My normal schedule can get busy, so recording kind of gets put on the afterburners, and I do apologize about that. But here we go. We have our 16 furnaces, all set up with hoppers. Now, just to go over the quick little details if you're new to the whole super smelter thing, the bottom hoppers here go into this little chest here, and this is where everything that's smelting is going to go. In the back of our furnace, we have another line of hoppers, and this is loading in our fuel. And the ones on top load in whatever we're smelting: iron, cobblestone, gold. And that is essentially the quick and little dirty parts of super smelters. Now, time for the little complicated part, which is how to load all of them around the same time and have no loss of fuel, or smelt whatever we're smelting. So for that, block of your choice, we're going to need a power rail, some regular rails, some form of redstone. I'm going to be using a torch. You could use a block of redstone. It's not a major thing. And while we're here, we're going to need a minecart with a hopper in it, a chest. Important here, this one has to be a minecart with a chest. I will explain that one in a little bit. And then we're going to need a couple more hoppers. And the reason why size can vary on this build is because with 16 furnaces, which is three little stacks of 16 each. The hoppers get really expensive in this build super fast. So, as you can see over here, we have the little rail system. So we're going to come off here at this top section first. We're going to go 2 blocks out and then diagonal up one. And on this lower track here, we're going to come out 1 block and then go diagonal up one. So you should have something that looks like that. And we're going to do the exact same thing down at the other end, only backwards. So down on the lower track is going to be 2 blocks out and then 1 up. And on the upper track here is going to be 1 block out and then 1 up. And you get rid of that guy there. And where you have 1 block, you're going to place 2 tracks. And where you have 2 blocks, you're going to place 1 powered rail. So right here would be 2, and that would be 1. And now we just go down the line and connect everything up. I recommend doing 1 track, then coming back and doing the other, because it can be a little bit funny placing rails. They're kind of the weird little block to place. But thankfully we got everything in here. And this is for testing right now. So right here and here, you're going to place a redstone torch. Same thing on the other end. And this is just to make sure your minecarts run back and forth all nice and smooth. So on the top rail is going to be the one that has the hopper. And the bottom rail is going to have the minecart. And the reason why is because on the survival one, I had both of them hopper minecarts. And that lower one, which is now a chest, for some odd reason, grabbed whatever was in that other hopper minecart and pulled them down below. So my system froze up and I was like, okay, what's up? I opened my hopper and I had kelp and cobblestone and everything that didn't work as fuel in there. So that kind of got swapped out for a chest, and I haven't had any issues with it. And if you do have issues, because I don't know if it's going to change in the future, you can always just do a line of blocks to separate them even more. But that really hasn't become a problem. And everything's running nice and smooth, but I can tell you right now, if you're building this in a creative world, it is going to run perfectly smooth every time. And I'm not sure why, but it's just the way that one works. In Survival World, however, if I pop on over here, as you can see, I got some more powered rails. So just 2 random sections, 1 even. It's just a trial and error. You want to place some powered rails. I tend to do them right next to each other. So when I place a block on top of the lower track, and I place a redstone torch next to that, both of them get powered up, so saving a little bit of resources there. And essentially, for some reason in the survival worlds, these 2 minecarts will just stop randomly in the middle, and you kind of have to push them back onto the powered rails to get them moving. And things don't work out in the end, and ends up costing a bunch of resources and stuff, making the system broken. So just having those few powered rails there kind of fixes everything, makes sure everything runs nice and smooth. So if I come down here and place a torch, you can see this guy, nice solid speed throughout the whole thing, goes back and forth. And when I turn off that torch, he's going to pop back down there. And everything is running nice and beautiful. And now just for the getting everything to load. So we're going to place a temporary block right there. And then we're just going to do a double chest. And this is what we're going to use to fill our little hopper minecart with any smelting item. And you saw in the beginning of the video how fast that happens. And on here, if you look at the rail under the minecart, because if you look at the minecart, you're just going to open it every time, even if you're crouching. But if you look at the rail, you can get it running in there. You're going to place 2 hoppers and a chest on top. And this is the fuel. And one thing I do want to mention is you don't have to worry about this part being slow. It moves nice and fast enough. And this guy gets filled with plenty of fuel, especially if you fill him up in advance. So as he goes back and forth, you get the fuel. It's the smelting items you have to worry more about, because one little chunk of fuel can do multiple blocks of whatever's getting smelted. So that's why I have the hopper minecart, because you saw how fast that filled up. And with the clock we're going to put on this system, that will be full every time as long as there's something in the chest for it to grab. And it just goes back and forth and evenly distributes everything. So now we have the major components for the smelter done, we have our collection, our dropping off our smelting, and dropping off our fuel. And another thing I do want to mention is if you only put 8 bits of fuel in here, only the first 8 furnaces are going to light up and the other ones are going to get ignored. And then if you put 8 more, when it starts up again, first 8, other 8 are going to get ignored. So you do want to think about that when you're doing the whole size thing. I should have mentioned that a little bit earlier. I do apologize. And now we get to go to the whole part on how we're going to turn this system on and off. And there's many ways to do this. I just find the easiest and least stressful is if you place a block there diagonal to that cart and place a redstone torch under it. That'll turn it on. It'll start heading back and forth. And if you come down here directly under that hopper, minecart with a hopper, if you place a block and then redstone torch, he'll turn on and they'll start going back and forth. And now we just have to turn those 2 redstone torches off, or just for this guy run redstone up there and vice versa. I just find the torches to be a little bit more compact and save a little bit of room. And for that, we're just going to use a redstone clock. As you can see, we have one working right here. And for this guy, we're going to need a hopper, comparator, block of your choice, a torch, a non-sticky piston, just a regular one, and then a block of redstone. And for the other little components, we're just going to need some redstone dust, a repeater, and right here we're going to need a lever. And I will get to that little section there as we continue with the video. But first we're going to place this clock, and you can place it pretty much anywhere. I placed it at the end here on this smelter. It's in the end there, nice and close. It's in the middle there, and for this one it's a little bit further away. This one I have it right up against the machine. And it's wherever you have room. And just keep in mind you're going to be running redstone no matter what. So since I have a nice big empty chunk here, I'm going to place it right here and that way we have plenty of room. So I'm going to crouch and place well, not crouching yet. Now I'm going to crouch and place a hopper into that hopper. Get rid of the first one so we have 2 hoppers running into each other. Coming out of both sides of this is going to be comparator, a block of your choice, a torch, another block of your choice, another torch, and a piston. You copy it on the exact same side. And one thing I do want to know is this is not my design. I honestly don't know who came up with it. Whenever I looked up clocks, this is one of the more common designs that came up, and it works pretty well for this build. So I don't feel giving credit to anyone at this time, because for all I know I could be crediting the wrong person. So that is our clock right there. And we're going to place a block right there and run some redstone dust down. And we're going to come all the way down here to this little block right here. Run our redstone line in there. And as you can see, that torch is still on. And that's because from that redstone power source, we were traveling more than 15 blocks. So somewhere on the line, you're going to have to place a redstone repeater. And since it's less than 15, you don't really have to worry about where you place it. So that guy's all set. And then we're just going to come down and do the same with that guy right there, which will turn the entire system off, which is great. And now to do the on-off. Now time for the little on-off switch, which before we do that, we actually have to get this clock up and running. So in any one of the hoppers, you're going to want to grab a stack of blocks, and depending on how long you want this furnace is how long it's going to run. The more items you have in there, the longer it's going to take. The less items, the faster that clock's going to go back and forth. Due to the size of this guy, I just recommend a stack, make it nice and easy. I've done one with 6 blocks, not 6 blocks, 6 furnaces, and half a stack worked nice for that guy. And just pretty much case by case. So we are going to place a repeater right here, and then we're going to run some redstone dust this way. And as you can see, it's having a little connection issue there, so we're going to get rid of these 2 bits, place 2 more bits of redstone, and yep, still connection problem. So just to break that off, 2 blocks over those bits of redstone, everything is nice and happy. And we're going to run this redstone line to wherever you want to. I recommend over here because you have most of your system here, and then you just have to worry about the fuel down at the other end. and that's more of a comfort and room thing. So random block of your choice right there. Redstone power into that. Flicking the switch, and as you can see, run into the same little issue. So a repeater is necessary if I actually place one. And now that that's lit up, that is actually taking this comparator, putting it, messing with its signal. So no matter what that clock is turning off, all the blocks are now out of that hopper into this one. And when we switch this lever again, turning the power off, the clock is now on, and the blocks are going to start flowing into there. And once all 64 in the other one, it's going to flick back to the off position. Those minecarts are going to stop, fill up, and then it'll go back and forth. And one of the neat little things about the system, if I flick this lever nice and quick, is you can see that all those blocks, it didn't get up to a full 64 blocks in here, but the clock is now off and emptying in here. And that's the one thing I find nice. When you flick that off switch, the system, no matter what's, going to turn off. And all the blocks are going to go in here. So I think that's a nice little touch if you have to have an emergency stop. And that is pretty much all the major components for the little super smelter here. As you can see over here, I have the little crafting bench, and that's because of the added kelp block. You just place it down below, grab all your kelp you made up, turn it into blocks, and boom, fuel's right there. And you just have to run down here to grab collection. And if you have the space and stuff, you can take and have a little bit of redstone know-how. You can take the fuel system and finagle it around in this area. Just because you have two, if I could remember how to talk, just because I have two little loaders here, I kind of like having them spaced out instead of butting up right next to each other, so that way there's no problems with redstone or hoppers. And everything runs nice and smooth. And now we just have to test the system, so let's grab a few stacks of iron, because we're in creative mode, we can do that. And if I can find a block of fuel, Lingering Potion of Bleeping, that has a cool little texture for it. So some blocks of coal. And down here, let's load our fuel, give it a couple seconds to load. But as long as 16 are in there, since this minecart's not blocked, I'm just going to fill it up. And just to show you, yeah, the hopper cart grabs a lot blocks nice and quick. And now that everything's loaded up and we can flick it on, minecarts are going to start activating. And everything is getting nice and full. So as you can see, 3, there's another little block of fuel down here. We're going to have 4 because minecarts have time travel. And everything is running nice and smooth. Our clock should be almost finished right here. So 3, 2, 1. The clock flicks back. Everybody stops. This guy's, well, grab the rest of the blocks, which are in there nice. And this guy's probably still filling up. And he has about half a stack in there now, so everything is nice and full. So we'll see how, probably going to get a little bit over a stack when he turns back on, since those hoppers are working exactly the same. So now, and if we check our little collection method down here, everything is nice and full. So one thing I mentioned, I'll fly back over here to the previous video, which I did after the previous video, and the video before that, and the video before that. Yeah. Having flashbacks to the Archer Tower if you've been around long enough on the channel. And one thing I do want to mention is you can decorate it any way you want. That torch is going to be visible, but right here you can place a transparent block, such as a glowstone or sea lantern, and that'll cover it up and give you a little bit of lighting. And one thing I do like about this design is if you leave these hoppers exposed and you have some emergency smelting, you can quickly empty the hopper and empty the furnace, so whatever you want to smelt can go right in there. So say in one of these guys you didn't want to do iron in him, you want to do gold, you can empty out hopper, which might have some more iron, some cobblestone, kelp items. Take out the last bit of iron and just quickly toss in some gold, and the rest of your whatever you want to smelt afterwards. And that way, if you ever run into emergencies such as you're running low on kelp blocks, you can kind of swap out a few of them really quick. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't enjoy it, please hit the dislike button. And if you could also tell me in the comments down below why you didn't like it. That way I can always change it up in the future and try to make a better video. If you have any other comments or recommendations for the channel, comment those down below too. I'm always up for a challenge. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button because there's always more content coming on the way. As you heard the video, my schedule with work and recording does kind of interfere with each other once in a while, and I'm sorry right now, work is going to win every time because I got a house to pay for. Other than that, this is Sergeant Alex, and I hope you have a nice day. And before I forget to mention, do follow me on Twitter because I do post on there every once in a while when I'm going to stream. And you never know what I'm going to be streaming. It could be Minecraft, could be another game. But other than that, I hope you have a nice day.